In my estimation, literacy is bound up in the essential understandings of any given discipline. Essential ways of knowing information, ways of expressing information, ways of just being, I think is all bound up in literacy. And a lot of my students will come in with sort of very fixed perspectives of literacy, that it's just reading or writing and speaking. But really, hopefully through the exploration of our courses, we understand that literacy is much more overarching than just that.
Literacy is everywhere. It is all the ways that we communicate and interact in our social context. So in schools, there's a tendency to approach literacy as simply reading and writing in print. And while that's important for all children and all people to be able to do, especially as they participate in our democratic society, we have a lot to gain when we expand our notion of what literacy is.
So when we think about printed text, obviously being able to match printed letters and words to speech is important and is a skill that's necessary for reading and writing text. But when we also think about what does it mean to make meaning from a photo or an image, we then can start to broaden that conception into thinking about drawing inferences, drawing conclusions, critiquing and analyzing. And so, for example, I think often we think of those examples where there's two images from the same moment or same event, and yet those images appear very different. And so thinking about why do they appear different, what choices were made to construct those images in that way, what messages are they sending, is a level of literacy that often maybe is overlooked or neglected, and yet I think when we think about literacy in this way, we can see how it impacts every aspect of our lives each and every day, and not being restricted to simply print-based text and reading and writing as we often think about it.
I think about literacy as sometimes the ways that we are situated in our racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, gender, all of those different ways that we can perhaps rethink and make some shifts in those understandings.
The way that we engage with literacy, especially in multimodal ways, is essential, right? And being in a field where the language and literacy practices of multilingual, multicultural, Black, Indigenous people of color have been silenced or overlooked, this is something that I am extremely passionate about, extremely advocating for. Once I engage with students, if they are exposed to these different ideas, or we just plant the seeds of how we see them more than what other people may perceive them, then they grow up to do the same, right? It's a cycle where individuals just embrace humanity and really look at the world in new and innovative ways.